Well then, ladies and gentlemen, for your delectation and delight.
Those are sugar, so I can act real. Brett Keane loves that, so.
For your consideration, myself and EdibleNapalm would like to present to you Chapter 1 of Warm Beef.
Ian the Great One.
Brett Keane looked at himself in the mirror, reaching for the comb on the counter. Whilst running it through his thick, masculine, blonde-streaked hair, he couldn't help but smile, knowing that he was one sexy beast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, said with a promiscuous smile. This is Brett Keane. He raised his eyebrow on the final syllable, and he sighed with content with the reflection that he saw.
Brett suddenly...
God, that's so creepy.
Brett suddenly heard a voice in the background. Yep, Brett Keane sure is one sexy piece of beef. He didn't recognize the voice, but at the same time felt it was strangely familiar. Brett turned around to see none other than Pat Condell. This was the first time Brett saw him in the flesh, and he liked what he saw. His fuzzy little head, cute little ears, distinguished garb, and of course, his big, thick glasses, which only magnified his poignant pupils. Pat walked over to Brett, putting both of his hands on both of Brett's muscle-bound shoulders. Brett felt his knees start to buckle under the momentous pressure of this occasion. "Brett," said Pat in his East London aristocratic accent that had the power to turn Brett into butter with just a single letter, when uttered by the great man himself. "Brett, we need you," Pat said, in a tone somewhere between serious and hopeful.
Who asked Brett?
"Me and Thunderfoot," responded Pat. "Come quick! No, quick, come with me! There's no time to explain." And with that, Pat took Brett by the hand and led him out of the house and into Brett Keane's Lamborghini Diablo. "I'll drive," said Pat. Brett didn't say anything, but he was slightly turned on how Pat handled the wheel of his very own car, that he managed to buy from the record-breaking sales of Brett's autobiography, entitled Brett Keane, the Man That Imperfection Forgot.
Excuse me, Sir Condell, said Brett. This truly is an honor for you to choose me, but may I ask what exactly you want me to do?
We will explain everything at Thunderfoot's lab.
Is this something to do with YouTube?
Far more serious than YouTube, I'm afraid.
Oh, World of Warcraft.
Chapter 2. 2 heads are better than one. And that's been my gimmick for years. Anyway. They finally arrived at Thunderfoot's lab. From the outside it looked just like any other suburban pad, but Brett knew that within dwelled one of the greatest brains of the modern era. Tingles of miniature electric orgasms went down Brett's spine merely thinking about it. Pat knocked on the door. Brett shivered with anticipation, knowing who would be answering the door. For what was actually only a couple of seconds in reality, felt like hours to Brett, before the door swung open. And there he was, in all his beauty. From top to bottom, Brett took in every ounce of this sex, science, beast, brain god. Could Brett call himself an atheist anymore? His dark, thick, frizzy locks, only complemented by his eyes, again magnified by the thick glasses. His nose was also beautiful. Brett then eyed down to what he thought were his shoulders, but then realized to his astonishment that he was still looking at his neck.
Wow, his neck is huge, thought Brett.
Thunderfoot's neck was the most beautiful thing Brett had seen since he'd last looked at himself naked during his annual shower and grooming routine. Brett kept going down, past his torso, abdomen, and finally centered at his crotch. It looked like he had an armadillo in there. The size of the bulge was both frightening and beautiful. Brett resisted the urge to touch it, knowing it might awaken the sleeping giant. "Oh, our one hope has arrived," said Thunderfoot, eyeing up Brett's physique as he did so. Oh, if only Ominous Voice was here. That's not in the story. Ominous Voice doesn't come up at all. Indeed he has, replied Pat. Thunderfoot ushered them into his lab. The room was full of scientific equipment, computers, beakers, Bunsen burners, strange bubbling noises, and multicolored liquids scattered the somehow organized mess. Thunderfoot began to explain the situation to Brett. I have created a device which can see into the future. This future, unless unaltered, will result in the destruction of Western civilization.
Let me guess. Saw Brett using his gigantic intellect to assess the situation. Anything to do with those pesky sand nigger Muslims?
He's a smart one, isn't he? Thunderfoot asked Condell. Pat nodded and then resumed to bask in the presence of Mr. Evolution 777. I'm glad you've asked. You see, I've also created a machine that allows you to travel through time and space. You intercept a few crucial points in history, alter them ever so slightly. It will not only save the Western world, but also destroy every Muslim on the planet.
Excellent, exclaimed Brett, but why me?
Well, you see, the interception, as I put it, was merely a euphemism for sexual intercourse. I've done the pure mathematics, advanced scientific calculations and experiments using my patented scientific method, and if my theory is correct, in which it undoubtedly is, means that if you, Brett Keane, have sex with a few specific entities, in a few specific places, in specific points in time, those acts will prevent the Muslims from taking over due to an extremely complex algorithm that I don't even understand fully. But I'm pretty sure has something to do with the sheer sexiness of the person doing the fucking. Excuse me. We needed someone with as much sex appeal as possible for maximum effect. You were the first that both I and Pat thought of.
Well, that's understandable, Brett said in a humble way.
So, are you up to the job? Asked Thunderfoot.
Well, I suppose it is Brett Keane's duty to save the world from those pesky Muslims. I have no choice but to accept the mission.
Fantastic! Exclaimed both Condell and Thunderfoot in unison.
So where is this time-space traveling machine, Thunderfoot?
All in good time, Brett. All in good time. But for now, the first interception must take place. And with that, both Thunderfoot and Condell started undressing. Brett Keane, with his huge intellect, knew instantly that they were the first to be intercepted. Chapter 3. Potato Sacks. Pat was the first to get nude. Brett took note of his body. It looked like that of a 25-year-old.
That must work out, Brett thought to himself.
His penis was of average length, about 6 inches long, but his testicles, wow. The orbs were big, bulging, and pendulous, protected by the smooth, grey-fuzzed sack. Brett's penis was responding to this situation. Pat took note and began to suckle. Brett's thick, circumcised piece of man-meat was growing by the second, until it reached its full length of 8 inches? Oh, come on! Meanwhile, Thunderfoot took off his G-string. Brett looked over in both shock and awe at the giant. It was 15 inches long, and as thick as a can of Coke.
John Thorne, eat your heart out, said Brett.
Thunderfoot and Pat proceeded to strip Brett, revealing his ripped, muscle-bound body, his biceps, abs, and pecs all in perfect form, and of course, his gigantic genitals, engorged with blood. Sweet smells emanated from his crotch. Both Thunderfoot and Condell were entranced in his manly musk. "He's such a perfect specimen of manhood, isn't he?" Condell remarked. "He certainly is," Usually I don't like men with too many muscles, but this is different. This is Brett Keane." "Indeed," responded Pat. "Hell, if even Brett was a fat, blubbering slob with no job who leeched off everyone he met, I would still have sex with him. He's Brett Keane." Thunderfoot nodded in agreement, and with that, the interception began. "You go first, Pat," said Thunderfoot. Pat lowered his anus onto Brett's rock-hard 8-inch fuckstick. With each inch, the pleasure for both grew. Brett could not believe his luck. He was actually having sex with the Pope of Atheism. Matt, it's you.
This is what theists must call heaven, Brett. Brett.
The sweet ecstasy was building, and Pat, even at his ripe old age of 107, was still a great fuck. Suddenly, Pat let out a huge moan as his man-meat began to twitch violently. Then, the mighty apparatus burst forth with its precious fluid. 6 ropes of man-juice erupted like a volcano all over Brett's six-pack. "Wow," said the onlooking Thunderfoot, rubbing his thick 15 inches of godlike sausage. Condell collapsed into a pile, still enjoying the ecstasy of having fucked a stallion like Brett. "My turn now," Thunderfoot said with a smile. Brett was now but inches away from the fabled thunder boner he had previously seen image of on YouTube, and he'd made the pictures his desktop background, but to see it in the flesh was a vastly different experience. The salty smell of the jizz-encrusted dick hole to the big, low-hanging twin-orb testicles. With the sight of the gigantic, spherical, pendulous twins, Brett got friskier.
"Sir, may you please teabag me?" asked Brett.
"Of course. However,
What?
I don't teabag. I potato sack." And with that, Thunderfoot took the dominant role. He straddled Brett around the chest and laid his 2 eggs on Brett's face. The salty, musky smell of the thunderballs were enough to make Brett secrete a long, thick glob of pre-cum. You fuckers better be donating if I'm fucking talking this bollocks with Matt. "How'd you like to taste the thunder boner, Brett?" Brett shivered with anticipation. Thunderfoot slid the gigantic fuckstick into Brett's mouth. It was a struggle to get the Coke can thick piece of salami in, but Brett managed it, and boy, was it worth it. That is the worst.
All I have.
That's all I've got as well. That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Who the fuck wrote that?
Somebody with fucking issues. Horrible, horrible, unspeakable issues. I need a cigarette.
I need some vodka. Luckily, I have some.
Oh, sweet carcinogen. Kill the fucking taste of what's just came out of my mouth.
I might put this in my eye. Is anything wrong with that? Yes, P2P. There is plenty wrong with that. I'm not chugging a litre bottle of vodka. What is wrong with you? Have you got issues? Whoever just came into the room to listen to that, I hope you... I don't even know what I want to happen to you. Donate for the end of the story. Donate because I'm pretty sure there's more to it.
Somebody just told me Brett was in the room while we were doing our little reading.
Was he actually talking? Was it the actual Brett? Do we know? Oh dear God.
Probably a good thing he got kicked because he probably would have went all fucking dick crazy and started fucking, being a problem and shit. But I'll go Condell's dick now!
He probably would have just, like, said, that's not how it happened, ladies and gentlemen.
That's not how it happened. They described Brett as muscular in that fucking
Oh.
Yeah, it falls completely under science fiction.
This is true. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Brett Keane. I don't talk like that, ladies and gentlemen.
I would bet anything that Condell does have a really bright asshole.
No, he's probably prolapsed too many times in his life. I want to know if anyone donated during that.
Now look at Condell. He could cut a fucking micron with his fucking asshole. How fucking uptight he is. He could fucking split atoms with that fucking thing.
Someone donated $5 for the Thunder Boner on the American site. I don't know why I pointed that way because I'm pretty sure that's the UK site. Oh. That was horrible.
It was. That was fucking awful. And there's more of it. That's what's fucking horrible.
Right. I think if people want to donate to listen to more, do so in the next. I don't know. How long have I got? I've got 10 minutes. I want to be out of here in 9, so we can have a decent handover. There is more. If you want to hear more, donate, and but tell us you have donated because we haven't got that long. And I'll tell you what, if you don't want to hear more, then you need to donate. That's all I've got, but I swear you've written more. Or Silver's written more. That's how bad it was. I think Matt just threw up.
Yeah, that's me smoking a cigarette. Like seriously, that right there should be the anti-smoking app right there. Just listening to me hack up the fucking walls.
No, Brian, thankfully that wasn't the preface, but Matt doesn't have the copy with the preface on, and I can't do a Brett Keane voice. I think that may be the worst thing I've ever read.
I think at one point Brett goes back and has a game fuck with Hitler and Stalin.
Yeah, I could have sworn I heard about that as well. Oh, and Matt, I know Riff has heard this, but you remember this whole Stalin and wrong thing about the guy who'd never heard about Stalin?
I heard about that.
Yeah. Did you hear? Did you hear that I actually work with someone who had never heard of Stalin?
Like, I don't get that. Like, I get maybe not hearing about Lenin. Maybe. Or Khrushchev. Or even the fucker who came after Khrushchev. I can't fucking remember that fucker's name.
No, see, yeah, I think that probably was in the beginning. But someone I work with, who I'm hoping isn't Crazy Caleb, doesn't actually know who he is. Has never heard of Joseph Stalin.
Especially in your country.
I know.
Your country, as fucking as obsessed as America is with World War II, the Brits are even more fucking obsessed.
Yeah, we get it all the time. That's what we learn about in history. Pinge, I'll throw this bottle of vodka at you. Well, I won't. I'll throw it at the screen, and then the show will end. But well, I'm pleased we've raised some money. I didn't want to raise none. But Al, if you hit me up later on Facebook or YouTube for so I know where to post you head, then that'd be useful. Otherwise, you've donated and I can't give you head. I can't just walk it to you, can I? Yes, Queenie, head has been sold. Head, the mask, and yes, Firefly. Ah, thank you. I noticed. I noticed that you'd donated and added part for me making videos again. As a result of which, to anyone who cares, I will now start making videos again because of Firefly's donation. So to people who actually watched them and wanted me to continue making videos, thank Firefly. For people who hate my videos or don't care, blame Firefly. Well, it's too late now, Firefly. I've said it. I can't go back. And also, it's recorded now. Shit. I'm going to stop recording before I say anything else. Yes, Angelic, you missed it, but it is recorded. It's in the record. Oh. That's all it took. That's all it took, Debbie. $20 for charity. Oh, Kayla wants me to be quiet now. So I'm going to stop recording and then I'm not going to talk anymore. Because Kayla doesn't want me to.